Jerry Kill once said he'd never step foot back onto the University of Minnesota campus. He's going to do exactly that this week as head coach at New Mexico State. He's had a lot of things to say over the past 3 years or so to PJ Fleck and this program. Has Jerry been in the right or has he been in the wrong? Let's take a look. Before we get into the video, just a reminder, hit subscribe, ring the bell to stay notified. If you love the B1G, this right here is the place to be. I feel bad for Jerry Kill. I really do. I can feel bad for Jerry Kill, and I can also say he's completely wrong and out of line for his comments that he's made over the years. Speaking of said comments, let's take a look at it. 2019 SiriusXM radio interview. This is kind of where it all started. This is some context. These are the comments he made referencing, talking about PJ Fleck and what he's done at the University of Minnesota. Take a listen.
I just think sometimes ego gets carried away, and when he went into Minnesota and treated the people the way he treated my guys and telling them he had to go in and completely change the culture, and it was a bad culture and bad people. You know, he made it sound like we didn't know what we were doing. And I took it personal. Do I still root for the Gophers? I do. Do I enjoy him running up and down the sideline? No. Do I think that he's about the players? No. He's about himself.
This has major get off my lawn vibes from Jerry Kill. Okay, this has major bitter, jealousy type of vibes. As I said before, I feel bad for Jerry Kill because of health issues, because of the epilepsy seizure situation. He had to resign. This was a coach in Jerry Kill that had Minnesota going in a really good direction. Back-to-back 8-4 regular seasons. Health issues happen. Tracy Clay steps in, and you've got the boycott situation, the player boycott situation during the one season for Tracy Claeys, and it gave a little bit of a stink to the Minnesota program, and it wasn't great from a PR standpoint. So when PJ Fleck comes in and he says he's got to change the culture, I think that's kind of what, I think it's a combination of things. It's a refresh, it's a start over. A lot of coaches, almost every coach, when they come into a new job, they want to win the press conference, they want to win that first day. And they would say, a lot of coaches say, they come in and they say they want to change the culture. That should not be a slight to the previous culture. It's more of them just trying to look good and trying to start the regime off in a positive direction. Okay, the comments specifically from Jerry Kill are bitter, they're jealousy, and he just keeps on saying them, and it's a one-directional thing. PJ Fleck, to his credit, hasn't clapped back at Jerry because I think he's like me. I think he feels bad for Jerry Kill because, remember, PJ Fleck coached under Jerry Kill back in the day, and they've got that previous history. They've got that relationship. Remember when PJ came in at his press conference, he said, "Tell him I'm a Kill guy." Right? They had at least a decent relationship for him to mention that in the past. And I think he's sad. I think it's unfortunate that things have gotten to this point. And it's unfortunate that he has said these things. Now we're referencing some of those things. Do I like him running up and down the sideline? No. Do I think it's all about him? Ego. Let's address that. Because there are people here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota that think PJ standing out, running up and down, roll the boat, yelling, doing all this catchphrase stuff. It's all a shtick, right? And it may be a shtick. It also may be what he actually believes in. No matter what, row the boat. 3 simple words have gotten Minnesota football farther and more exposure than it's ever had, ever. Maybe since the 1960s when they won a couple of national titles. But since then, last 50 or 60, 70 years, the most exposure. They were a flyover program before this. Glenn Mason, Tim Brewster, Jerry Kill. Had a couple of good seasons, Lawrence Maroney and Marion Barber, remember that backfield? Under Glenn Mason there in the early 2000s. But from a large sample size type of deal, this was just another Midwestern Big Ten program. This was a Purdue This was Indiana. I mean, this was a program kind of like that. And now 3 words: row the boat. Now when you ask a recruit in Georgia, in New York, in New Jersey, in Michigan, no matter where you look, and you ask a recruit, say, tell me about the University of Minnesota. You say, oh, let's row the boat. That's the row the boat guy. Now PJ Fleck has given himself, I'll give him credit for that, and he's also give him the University of Minnesota national exposure. Okay, you might think his shtick is silly. You might think it could never work at this university or that university, but it works at Minnesota. That's the thing. That's the thing. You might be right in saying this would never work at a big-time university. This would never work at Michigan, Michigan State, or Ohio State. This would never work in the SEC at some of those bigger programs. This would work at a smaller college, a smaller university that maybe doesn't have the most expectations, that doesn't have the history. And maybe that's why this is a perfect fit. And maybe that's why every single year you talk about PJ Fleck jumping to this job or jumping to that job, and he doesn't. But because he's got full control and he's got full range of his marketing, his branding, his exposure at the University of Minnesota. He runs the show. Look, you can say what you want about this feud between Jerry Kill and PJ Fleck. You can say, well, Kill would have gotten this far. I'm not sure if he would have gotten to the 10-win level that PJ Fleck got to. Okay, I don't think he would have developed NFL guys like an Antoine Winfield, a Rashad Bateman, a Tyler Johnson, and all these guys that PJ Fleck got to. PJ surrounded himself with good coaches. I'm not even sure if PJ's a good coach. I know he's good at exposure. He's good at getting the Minnesota's name out there, his name out there. He's good at all of that. Is he good at time management, game management? Is he a good coach? Well, if the record indicates it, yeah, I guess he is a good coach. But he's taken Minnesota to new heights, and he's going to continue to take them to new heights. Recruiting has tremendously improved since he's been there. Some of the best classes ever at the University of Minnesota have happened under PJ Fleck's watch. Like, I just made a video about Scott Frost at Nebraska. They came in, I think, 1 year apart. And these two guys are night and day. And we're talking about Nebraska, a team that has a school that has a nationwide fan support. You got to think a lot of alumni support. You got to think a lot of donations, a lot of all of that coming into the program. And little itty bitty old Minnesota is the one that has the national brand, the phrase that everybody knows about. And Nebraska's sitting there and losing all of these consecutive games. So it's unfortunate that things have gotten to this point. You hate to see these types of relationships go in opposite directions like they have. It's going to be very intriguing to see what happens when these two teams take the field. See what happens between the interaction between Jerry Kill and PJ Fleck. I want to know your thoughts on this situation. Do you agree with what I've said about PJ Fleck, or do you think he's just a character? He's just a guy flapping his gums and all that, or do you think he's the real deal? Leave your thoughts, comments below. Make sure you subscribe to Big Ten Ted. I'm Big Ten Ted. We will see you in the next one.